I do have chickens. I have chickens. Brought them home for Easter, and just little chicks for kids, and they loved them. You know, they love those chickens for about a week. The chicks, the respect that I have for chickens. I know there was a time when I said that chicken is a nervous bird, and I don't eat chicken. I only eat meat. But I was dead wrong. I stand corrected. These chickens are low maintenance and high production. There's times when I'm doing good things for other people and they're not as happy to see me as my chickens are. So it's good. It's good for my mental health as well.
Low maintenance and high production. That's the perfect
You
Jim
think you
Harbaugh.
were describing me, yeah.
You're the opposite.
I was just going to say, really, I'm the complete opposite of that. But yes, Jim Harbaugh famously said, chickens are a nervous bird. He doesn't eat them because I guess he doesn't want the nervous energy. So ever since then, on my 10 list of 10 column that I do every year, I always put my 10 chicken players, these are very good players. That are getting drafted about where they should. That's where I have them ranked. They're getting drafted where I have them ranked. But just as I've gone through drafts and I've sat there with my mouse over this player or that player, I just haven't drafted a lot of these players just because there's something that I'm just a little nervous about.
The vibes are off.
The vibes are off. Yeah, so these are my chicken players that, again, that make me a little nervous. Give me some concern there. Again, I'm sure they're going to have great years. They're good players. They're ranked and drafted appropriately, but I just don't have a lot of shares of them because they make me nervous.
Number one on your list, Matthew, is Breece Hall. There's just a lot of nervousness around the Jets as a whole, yeah?
For sure. I mean, so you've got an injury-prone player here who's going to lose goal line touches to both Braylon Allen and Justin Fields. Fields has never targeted running backs at a high rate. So Breece Hall, who's going, he's going as like running back 15. Like, he's going pretty high in drafts. For him to hit that, I just don't think he's going to get a bunch of short, easy touchdowns. So he's going to have to hit these home runs. He's going to have to stay healthy, and he's going to have to get really involved in the passing game, which we just haven't seen from a Fields-led offense before. So just feels like there's a narrow window for Breece Hall to hit that ADP.
Yeah, I think it's a big issue, Lawrence. Braylon Allen's really good.
Yes.
They seem to have a lot of faith in Braylon Allen, so Breece Hall may be relegated to third down. He'll get more than just third down passing game usage, but Braylon Allen's going to get a lot of carries, and Justin Fields is going to run a ton.
I can't say that I've drafted a lot of Breece Hall on my teams, but I would. Just depends on where you could get him. That's really what it's all about when it comes to Breece Hall. And yes, they're going to use Braylon Allen as they should, but if he does what I expect him to do, what I've seen him do this preseason in the receiving game, he should be okay. And I just think he's ranked appropriately. It's nothing more, nothing less. That's pretty much what it comes down to Breece Hall.
Yeah, number two on this list is Puka Nacua. It's not about his talent. It's about the health of the
Your best friend.
My best friend's Puka Nacua. I'm a little worried about Puka too, Matthew. I agree with him being one of the chicken players. And there's two injury concerns here. One is his own. He gets banged up a lot and he plays a very violent style. I'd say he's probably the biggest injury risk of these top-tier wide receivers. And then maybe even a bigger concern is his quarterback, Matthew Stafford, who is practicing and looks like he's going to be good to go week one. You just worry about how the back is going to respond when he takes that first big hit and whether he can get through the whole season. And if it's Jimmy G, Puka will still be okay if it's Jimmy G, but he doesn't have the same ceiling without Stafford.
The thing of it, he's got a wide range of outcomes, right? He could easily be the number one wide receiver in fantasy, but there's a downside there that I just don't feel that's there with some of the other wide receivers that are being drafted right in the same range. He's all just right there with a couple of, with the Amon-Ra's, with the Nico Collins, with the Brian Thomas Jr.'s, what I feel like have similar potential upside, but less downside. And I just don't find myself with a lot of Puka this year. I think there's an argument that Davante Adams could wind up.
Him.
Certainly at cost.
Yeah.
What about Kenneth Walker, Lawrence? Because there's injury concerns with him as well, and then you have Zach Charbonnet right behind him.
That's what it's all about with Kenneth Walker. And as a fantasy manager, we just don't know how they're going to deploy the running backs. So it's not like Kenneth Walker misses a half a season every single year, but he misses games, and that gives us an opportunity to see Zach Charbonnet. And what we see out of Zach Charbonnet is that he's just as productive or even more productive sometimes than Kenneth Walker. They're so identical. They both average 4.2 yards per carry for their career. So the question would be, how much more work in that backfield does Charbonnet get? And that's what makes it a questionable where you take him in fantasy.
Charbonnet has had an unbelievable camp. Walker has been banged up. I'm a little nervous that he might be more banged up than we know. And the other thing, Jay, is that we don't know what Clint Kubiak's going to do with this offense. Previously, it's been like Ken Walker's been the guy, and then if he gets hurt, Charbonnet's the guy. But we have no guarantees that Clint Kubiak doesn't get in there and say, like, both these guys are good. Why don't we try to ease Ken Walker's workload a little bit so that he doesn't get banged up as much, and let's make sure we get 10 touches a game for Charbonnet.
That's the issue, is that just logic is always dictated. All right, you've got 2 really good running backs. One of them gets hurt all the time. Just give the guy that gets hurt all the time less touches so he has less opportunity to get hurt. So, yeah, just more variance with this new offensive coordinator. I think they're going to run the ball a ton. Like, that's going to be the identity of the offense. I do think, though, that it might – I don't think it's going to be 50-50, but it might be 60-40 Ken Walker. And if that's the case, you'd much rather have Charbonnet at price.
Saquon Barkley was a league winner last year, but he is on your chicken list. What is giving you anxiety about him?
Well, it's a lot of things, right? So everything that could go right for Saquon Barkley last year went right. He's a phenomenal talent. But just in terms of where he's going, you know, we've talked about the workload, right? 482 touches last year. This is a guy who loses goal line work to Jalen Hurts. He isn't heavily involved in the passing game. It didn't matter last year because they were so efficient offensively, and he's breaking off 60, 70, 50-yard runs. And so, but what are the odds he keeps doing that this year? Jay, we've talked a lot about on the show that we expect the Eagles not to be nearly as – last year they were the run-heaviest team in the NFL, and we think they're probably going to be like the 10th run-heaviest team in the NFL this year. So if they try to ease off the workload of Saquon Barkley, we see more Will Shipley this year. Again, there's still the vulture opportunity there. He's not really involved in the passing game. In terms of where you have to take Barkley, I find myself going wide receiver more often there, or depending on where it lands in the draft. I just don't have a lot of shares of Barkley this year.
Yeah, look, the Eagles...
There's always somebody that's willing to take him top 5 or 6 in my drafts.
Indeed. And the Eagles, they were the second healthiest team in the NFL last year after the Ravens. There's going to be, you would expect, some health regression. And with Saquon, you're just a little boxed in if you don't have the pass game usage and you don't have the goal line carries. Like, you need to hit those home runs to, I think, live up to this ADP. And yeah, he'll hit some home runs because he's Saquon Barkley, but to your point, probably not going to hit as many as he did last year because no one does.
Right.
And so just naturally you'd expect that to regress.
I'll be okay with 1,500 rushing yards, 10 rushing touchdowns. Like, if he gets that, which I think, like, what his concerns are, it's probably the concerns for a lot of people. And it's not as if he's coming off an injury. He had a lot of touches. So if he had some nagging injury coming in or suffered something, I would be like, all right, maybe. But 2,000 yards is rare. So I would chill on that a little bit. But I still think 1,500 rushing yards on this offense is in play for Saquon.
1,000%. He's going to be great. He's Saquon Barkley. He's one of, if not the best pure runner in the NFL right now. I'm just saying, there's enough, like, given where he's going in drafts, which is very high in the first round, right? That I just don't own a lot of shares of him this year because he's a chicken player. I'm a little nervous.
Yeah.
There are other guys that I feel safer that I don't have as many question marks, but I'm with you.
You got Saquon higher than Derrick Henry.
I do.
So, all right. Yeah.
I have Saquon at running back 4.
Yeah.
But I've seen some people that have Saquon at RB1. You know what I mean? Like, I prefer Bijan. I prefer McCaffrey. That's a controversial one. But weirdly, I feel safer with McCaffrey this year than Saquon Barkley.
Well, McCaffrey's going to catch 80 passes, so that's understandable. I don't think that's controversial, to be honest, for that reason alone. Yeah.
Yeah, another one that Matthew is nervous about is Brock Bowers. You got a bunch of changes in Las Vegas. What do you think about Brock?
Yeah, I think with Brock Bowers, there's a lot of variance for a guy who was tight end 1 last year. New quarterback, new head coach, new offensive coordinator, new superstar top 10 pick at running back. Jacoby Myers' situation does create a bit more upside for Brock Bowers if Jacoby Myers is going to be around. So who else are you throwing the ball to? I do think he is the clear tight end 1. I took him in our draft yesterday because he did fall into the 3rd round there. But I think for the most part, if he's going at his ADP, you're probably better off waiting. The only reason I took him was like, he's Brock Bowers. My choices are Brock Bowers or Josh Jacobs. I'm going to take Brock Bowers. But for the most part, you can probably wait.
But again, you got a great I don't mind him in the 3rd round, obviously. The problem is he's going in like the first 14 picks. And so my argument is that being drafted in the top, in the first, late in the first round or early in the 2nd, that in essence, basically, he has to do what he did last year. Like, there's no profit available in that price. Like, there's nowhere to go but up. Everything that went right last year is being baked into his current price. And so, like, if he falls like he did in our draft, great. But I would much rather have McBride or Kittle to another round or 2 rounds after than Bowers. And just that's what I'm saying. I just don't have a lot of Bowers this year because I'm nervous.
The difference between Trey McBride and Brock Bowers last year was the touchdowns.
Correct.
Which we know Trey McBride didn't have. And in my drafts recently, I've just been letting those guys go. I did get Trey McBride in a 4th round. So I'm good with that. I can't take Brock Bowers in the 2nd round. I'm not worried about the new quarterback, the new play. I'm not worried about that. This is why. Because when he went from UGA to Vegas last year, he had all that.
Sure.
So that part don't worry me. But taking him that early when you could still get a top tier, like an A.J. Brown, a running back, I'd rather go that route.
Again, these are not players that I think will fail. These are not players that I think are bad. Brock Bowers is my number 1 ranked tight end too. The idea of this list is just these are just players that I just don't draft a lot because when it comes time to click them and I look who else is around me, I get a little nervous. That's all.
What about Caleb Johnson over in Pittsburgh? I feel nervous about all of Pittsburgh. That's like many chickens for me. What do you say, Lawrence?
What they saying is he having trouble with pass protection, and I think just for any rookie running back, that makes it hard to get on the field, and even harder when Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback. Exactly. So he'll be fine, but just know that Jaylen Warren means a lot to this offense.
You will be annoyed at how much Kenneth Gainwell plays on the Steelers offense.
Him too.
If you draft Caleb Johnson and you're watching Steelers games, you're going to be annoyed at how much Kenneth Gainwell plays.
People were pretty annoyed with Jerry Jeudy for almost all of his career. He had a breakout season last year, but you're nervous about him now. It's just
well, it was all volume-based, and it was all Jameis volume-based. We haven't seen him do it with any other quarterback. He's never been a touchdown scorer in his career, and so his splits with and without Jameis Winston are pretty stark. And where he's being drafted is kind of thinking that he's going to have that same kind of volume. I'm not convinced he is with comeback player of the year, Joe Flacco.
Yeah, it might be Dylan Gabriel by week 4. We just don't know.
Or Shador.
Yeah, or Shador. A lot of his volume was just that one game against the Broncos in primetime, picking on the backup corners opposite Patrick Surtain. So I think that is kind of baked into people's minds. But, I mean, we kind of know what Jerry Jeudy is. He's been mostly the same guy his whole career.
Yeah.
What about James Cook? A lot of people are high on him, and other people around this show low on him. What makes you nervous about him?
I think the obvious one with James Cook is just the touchdown regression. He's just not going to have 16 touchdowns again. DraftKings has his over-under at 8.5, so he's probably going to have around half as many touchdowns as he did last year. Just Josh Allen at the goal line, Josh Allen stealing rushing touchdowns from him. He's James Cook. He's still part of a great offense. He's going to produce, but just wouldn't expect him to do what he did last year.
And he got paid, but he's just not involved in the passing game. And he doesn't get a ton of volume. Actually, he averages under 15 touches a game, so he needs that touchdown equity to pay off the ADP. And so it's just, I'm nervous about, again, it's about where you're having to draft him to get him. It makes a little chicken about him.
Yeah, DK Metcalf no longer in Seattle again. I'm just disgusted in general with Pittsburgh's offense and Arthur Smith in general. What about you?
Well, when I took DK Metcalf as my wide receiver 3 in our league, I asked Jay, who else is catching passes? And when he said Roman Wilson, I said, I'm drafting him right now as my wide receiver. So that's the good part about it. The other side of it is we know Arthur Smith. We know what he want to do on offense. But it's Aaron Rodgers. We saw him give Devontae Adams a lot of targets last year. So that's the upside of it. But the downside, obviously, is Arthur Smith off.
Yeah, you're more bullish on him than I am. But one line I wrote is I've never seen an Arthur Smith offense in fantasy football that I didn't hate. Yeah. I hate them all, and I think you'll see Jonnu Smith and Pat Freiermuth and. Yeah, I don't know. I think they'll be run heavy. They'll play good defense. They're not going to get into shootouts because they're going to have such an elite defense. And I don't know. It's been a long time since Arthur Smith has supported an elite fantasy wide receiver. You have to go back to A.J. Brown's rookie year in Tennessee. Yeah. It's been a long time. He couldn't make Drake London work. You know what I mean? So I'm nervous.
Let's talk about R.J. Harvey. He's going up a lot higher than I think I would have expected, and he is going to have to share workload.
Yeah, he makes me nervous as well, again, at cost, because we know Sean Payton likes to use multiple running backs. The camp reports are that he is struggling in pass protection. If you can't protect the quarterback, you don't get on the field in a Sean Payton offense. And so I do think J.K. Dobbins, for as long as he's healthy, he's going to get the early down work, he's going to get the close work. And so how much passing game work does R.J. Harvey get? At cost, I much prefer J.K. Dobbins, who's going 2 to 3 rounds later than R.J. Harvey.
And he looked good last year in his time with the Chargers.
The 2 knocks on R.J. Harvey: 1, pass protection; 2, just vision and not taking what is there and trying to hit home runs on the outside. Sean Payton's not going to like that, I don't think.
No, it makes me nervous.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.